Just so everyone knows, under new business, we gotta reorganize first
Yeah.
and then get out. Okay, at this time, call the January 2025 meeting of the East Hempfield Township Zoning Hearing Board to order. Just for the record, would you all rise, please, and we'll salute the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Yeah. Information first is not only are we here in person, but we're also on Zoom. First order of business. By law, we have to reorganize at the beginning of each year. So at this time, I'll listen to motion for chairman of the board and vice chairman and secretary, and also we will have to make a motion about our solicitor. So with that,
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to nominate Mr. Herr as chairman, myself, Mr. Hanson as vice chairman, and Mr. Luce as secretary.
okay, I have a motion by Mr. Hanson for Mr. Herr, Mr. Hanson, and Mr. Luce for the offices. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Kyle. Any discussion, gentlemen? Seeing none. Mr. Hanson,
In favor.
Mr. Luce.
In favor?
Kyle,
In favor.
Mr. Bingham,
In favor.
and I'll also vote in favor. The board is reorganized basically the same as it has been this past year.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the firm of Morgan, Algren, Crosswell, and Kane as our solicitor, with Jason Fox, or Jason Hess, Fox, Jason Hess as our solicitor of record.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Hanson, second by Mr. Bingham, that we reappoint the law firm of Morgan, Holgren, Crosswell, and Kane as our solicitor, with solicitor of record being Jason Hess. Any discussion, gentlemen? Seeing that, Mr. Hanson,
In favor.
Mr. Luce,
In favor?
Mr. Kyle,
In favor.
Mr. Bingham,
In favor.
and I'll also vote in favor. Okay. Also for the record, and I gotta check this, Beth is, forget her name.
Gannon.
Judy.
Julie.
Okay, so, I guess Beth will be taking the board minutes. We also have, for the record, a court reporter present and taking, minutes. So also, everybody, knows this up front. Please use the microphones when you're talking so that three things: one, we can hear you; two, the people in the audience; and three, the people on Zoom can hear you. So with that, Beth, the cases this evening have been advertised and posted in accordance with the Sunshine Law and Municipalities Planning Code.
They have been.
Okay. At this time, I will swear in everyone who plans to take or make any comments tonight with any of the applications that we have before us in order to just try to save a little time. So this board will hear each case in an informal manner without strict compliance with the rules of procedure used in a court trial. We ask each applicant, any individuals interested in a particular case, to step in front of our table and explain the circumstances involved in their application. Applicants may present their case themselves or through their attorneys or other representatives. Fellow board members and I, as well as our solicitor, may ask the applicant questions from time to time during the applicant's presentation or at its conclusion. All persons having an interest in an application will be given an opportunity to ask questions of the applicant, to offer evidence of their own, and inform the board of their position on the matter. In the interest of prompt and orderly disposition of each case, we ask interested people to refrain from speaking until the applicant's presentation has been completed and the board has had the opportunity to question the applicant. At the beginning of each case, people who are interested in that case should decide whether they desire to be parties to it. By being given the status of a party, that person will be entitled to receive notice of the decision in that case and will be entitled to participate in any subsequent appeal or rehearing. Individuals who are not given party status may nevertheless ask questions and will, and present evidence, but will not receive notice of the decision and will not automatically be entitled to participate in any appeal or subsequent rehearing. If you desire to be a party, we will ask that you sign an entry of an appearance form at the appropriate time. And although each party will receive a written copy of the decision, the mechanics of typing and signing the decision takes approximately 4 weeks. We ask that each person who asks a question or makes a statement first state his or her name and address for our court reporter. Now, lastly, in the interest of time, I'll administer the oath affirmation to all applicants and to everyone and anyone who anticipates making any statement with respect to any of the hearings this evening. So at this time, will you all rise, please? Under penalties of perjury, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, please say I do. Thank you. You may be seated. Gentlemen, you got a copy of our board minutes from August 19th, 2024, which was the last regularly scheduled meeting. If there are no additions, deletions, or corrections, I'd ask for a motion to approve the board minutes of August 19th as submitted by the secretary.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Luce. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hanson. Any discussion, gentlemen? Seeing none. All in favor of the board minutes of August 19th, 2024, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No, but I abstained since I wasn't here.
Okay. One abstention, Mr. Kyle, because he was not present at that meeting. Okay. With that, Beth, any old business?
No.
Okay. New business then. First case.
Case number 2486, U.S. Boiler Company, Inc., 2930 Old Tree Drive, seeking a variance to the setback requirement.
Okay, is anyone here from US Boiler?
Yeah, I'm here on behalf of US Boiler. David Bittner with Bittner Engineering.
You raise that microphone a little bit.
Is that better?
Yeah, okay. And
Also have Kevin Ream from Walson. He's going to speak as well, so.
again, you can raise the microphone and get closer to it, and even if you have to take it off, that's fine, but you have to speak into them fairly close so that they resonate.
Did you say Kevin's last name was Reed or
What's,
what was Kevin's last name?
Ream, R-E-A-M.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that wants to be a party to this case? Anyone on Zoom? Seeing none. Okay. With that, Mr. Bittner, would you like to present your case?
Sure. Yeah, as I mentioned, my name is Dave Bittner here on behalf of US Boiler. Also have Kevin Ream, who's going to speak more on the building side of things. But just to give you a little bit of background, US Boiler owns a property at 2930 Old Tree Drive. They have an existing building, and Beth, I don't know if we have a plan that you can bring up. They have an existing building there that they currently utilize, and they're building an addition onto that to expand their facilities. We already went through a land development plan, which had the building just inside the building setback line. When the building was ordered, it ended up being slightly larger than what was shown on the plan, and it encroaches into the building setback line by about 9.36 inches, I think it is. So very small encroachment within that side yard setback. The adjoining property is also within the enterprise zone and a similar use, so that there's not going to be any impact on adjoining properties. It won't even really be a noticeable encroachment in the field. Wilson had found the issue when they were working on the building, brought it to the attention of the township, and the township asked us to go through the zoning hearing board for this minor encroachment to get a variance of the setback. So that's essentially our request. I'm going to hand it over to Kevin Ream. He can give a little bit more background on the building and how it ended up where it is now.
Yeah, so essentially, if you look at the building, I apologize, we don't have the drawing here, but if you look at the building in the front, we're way back from the setback, but the building sets on the property. The existing building sets on the property. It's not square with the lines. So as we put the addition on when we came back, essentially the steel of the building meets the pad. When we detailed out the steel, the wall on the building extends out past that line slightly. So essentially, it's the thickness of the CMU wall on the building, and it's like 9 inches on the very back corner. That's at the very northwest section. So other than that, it's not in the setback at all. I think that's all.
Yeah, as Kevin mentioned, if we get the drawing up, it's really just one small portion of the building. I think that's only about 11 square feet of it because the property line is skewed. So it's only a very small portion of the building. It's not the entire length of it.
I apologize, technical difficulties.
Yeah, and I can't pick on you, Beth, because I'm no better, so.
As soon as they change one thing, is this what we're looking for? Or,
That's it.
That's it.
That's
thank you,
kind of hard to
Cindy.
see there, but
I can enlarge it
pointer
a
for
little.
'em. Yeah, no.
That's,
Yeah.
a lot bigger.
He has one. Okay.
Mr. Bittner, yeah, use that one, please.
Yeah,
so this portion of the building right here, that's the only portion that goes over the building setback line. It's a triangular piece that's up in there. I think we're just over 11 square feet of encroachment within the building setback. And it's just right on that corner right there is 9 at the worst spot, it's 9.36 inches, I believe.
Roughly a 9.5, yep.
So it's limited to literally just right on that corner of the building. The rest of it, since that property line is skewed, the rest of it is outside of down there is all outside of the building setback lines.
So, Mr. Bittner, square foot really doesn't do us much for variance. You said you're going to encroach into the side yard setback by, what, 9.5? So basically, if we say 10 inches.
Right.
So that you'd be leaving a side yard setback of 14 feet, 2 inches, correct?
24 feet. 24 feet, 2 inches. It's 25-foot setback.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, 25.
Correct. Yeah, it's about it's just over a 3% encroachment into the setback.
And this is a non-conforming property because the front of the building actually encroaches into the front yard at one point, correct?
That's correct. There
You
is
are not expanding that at all, correct?
not the front, no.
Okay,
And the addition is completely within the front yard setback.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Beth, do you have any questions? Jason?
I have none.
Anyone in the audience or on Zoom have any questions for the applicant? Seeing none. Township, anything? Cindy? No, okay. Okay. Thank you. Now, does anyone in the audience or on Zoom have any comments, pro or con, to this application? Seeing none? Okay, with that then, gentlemen, is there anything else for this application?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion.
Okay, so we will conclude with testimony. Mr. Hanson, motion.
Case number 2486, the request of U.S. Boiler Company Incorporated for property located at 2930 Old Tree Drive, Lancaster, PA 17603. I make a motion to grant the request for a variance to section 270-3.12 E2 to allow them to encroach 10 inches into the side yard setback, leaving a setback of 24 feet, 2 inches. And our standard conditions.
Yeah, I got it right here. Mr. Hanson, you're gonna hate me for this.
You want me to repeat that, Diane?
1 second, I didn't have my tablet out, so.
I can, but we're encroaching on my time here. 10 minutes per case.
Remember, I have a hole in my head and I'm a little slow.
Yeah.
Actually, I got several of them now. Okay, go ahead. Would you repeat it again?
Case number 2486, a request of U.S. Boiler Company Incorporated, 2930 Old Tree Drive, Lancaster, PA 17603. Make a motion to grant their variance to section 270-3.12 E2 to allow them to encroach 10 inches into the side yard setback, leaving a setback of 24 feet, 2 inches.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Hanson in case number 2486 for U.S. Boiler Company Incorporated at
Yeah, and our normal conditions, sorry.
2930 Old Tree Drive. To grant a variance to section 270-3.12.E2 to grant a 10-inch side yard variance, which would leave a side yard of 24 feet, 2 inches. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Luce. Discussion, gentlemen. Seeing none. Mr. Hanson,
In favor.
Mr. Luce.
In favor?
Mr. Kyle.
In favor.
Mr. Bingham.
In favor.
And I will also vote in favor. In case number 2486, variance has been granted as so stated. Anything else, gentlemen? Seeing none. I lost, oh, there you are. Your request has been granted as so stated in the decision.
An extra half an inch of paint.
Yeah, well, that's true too. Okay. Okay. Beth, next case, please.
Case number 2487, Robert and Linda Messina, 3038 Gloucester Street, seeking a variance to the setback requirement.
Okay. Is anyone here, is Linda Messina, I think that's right. If not, I apologize. Is she here or somebody representing her?
I am Robert Messina,
Okay,
and I'm here to discuss this project with you.
okay. Is there anyone else in the audience or on Zoom that wants to be a party to this case? Seeing none?
Gentleman next to him is
Oh,
raising his
excuse me.
hand.
Suppose I should say that I would like to be.
You want to be a party?
Yes.
Okay. Would you sign a entry of appearance form?
Are you contractor or?
Oh,
Yeah, I'm okay just speaking whenever he's ready for it.
that's fine. If you're a contractor with Mr. Mercy, then you don't need to be a party. I'm sorry. Okay. Mr. Mercina, would you like to present your case,
I
please?
would. Thank you.
Make sure you speak into the mic.
Okay. First of all, thank you very much for your time today. I'm really excited about presenting this project to you. What I'd like to do is give you the who, the what, the why, frame the issues for you, and then give you some facts that I think may aid you in your decision this evening. So that would be my agenda for this evening. So I'm Robert Messina, and along with my wife Linda, we're the owners of the property located at 3038 Gloucester Street. And the project seems very simple. We have a deck on the back of our house that we want to replace. The deck is original to the house, which was built in the mid-1980s. It was made of, pressure treated wood. It requires staining and other maintenance at least every other year. In the early years, I did that all myself. In these later years, not so much. I need to get someone to help me with that, and it's expensive. It was also made in somewhat of an old-fashioned way, and the boards were nailed together. They weren't screwed together, which I don't think would meet the standard these days. So what we wanted to do was to create a new modern deck. The new deck would be in the same footprint as the old deck, with one exception that I will highlight, but it will be in the same footprint. The deck currently is about a 31-foot walkway, 31 foot by 3 feet, that goes the length of the garage up to the actual deck itself. And the deck is approximately 30 feet long and 12 feet out from the house, so 12 feet from the side of the house out into the backyard. And we're going to use modern maintenance-free materials like composite deck materials to do this new deck. The major difference between the current deck and the planned deck is we'd like to take half of the deck space and turn it into a screened-in porch. The screened-in porch would take up about 1/2 of the deck space on the part of the deck that's furthest from the garage. The rest of the deck would remain an open-air deck, just like it currently is. The screened-in porch will be about 12 feet deep, or, along the side of the house, and would still be 12 feet out from the house. That wouldn't change. Again, it would be in the same footprint as the current deck. The roof on the screened-in portion will have an overhang over the deck of 1 foot, and then another 5 inches for a gutter beyond that. So it will actually extend out beyond the current porch by 1 foot and 5 inches to allow the proper flow of water and moisture away from the structure. The screened-in porch, I mean, the whole deck, I would like to replace, but the screened-in porch in particular has been a key driver of this project. The deck faces west, and by 1 p.m., it's in full sun. And over the years, I've had no fewer than 6 outpatient procedures for skin cancers. I just can't sit out in the sun. So I'm very careful about the sun. I'd like to enjoy the outside by having a screened-in porch and still getting the benefit of being outside, but not being in the full sun. So that's really one of the drivers of this. So let me frame the issues for you. The zoning ordinance obviously requires a 35-foot setback behind the house to the property line. As an accessory structure, the deck has a 5-foot setback requirement. The current deck and the proposed deck would meet those requirements. However, the roof planned on the screened-in porch is considered a part of the principal structure, namely the house, and therefore it has a 35-foot setback requirement, and it will encroach that setback by close to 8 feet. And that's despite the fact that the roof and the gutter will only extend the structure 1 foot and 5 inches closer to my neighbor's property line.
So can I interrupt you here for a minute?
Absolutely.
Beth, can you blow that up a little bit?
Just, you have a different thing, don't you?
I lost it here on mine.
Down at the bottom. Want to work on there?
I'm having a heck of a time with this. You,
I believe it. I believe it.
I can't get out of this screen
I have an
to get
iPad,
back
which I
to
go to
that.
this.
While she's looking for that, are you looking for the rear or the side yard setback?
Rear.
There it is. Okay.
And the township considers this an accessory dwelling unit?
As I understand it, the deck is an accessory.
Right,
And has a setback of only 5 feet.
correct.
Well, but the roof that we plan to put on the part that we're going to turn into a screened-in porch would meet the same setback, would have to meet the 35-foot setback, which it will not.
From the rear yard.
Yes.
So you're not looking to do anything from the side yard, correct?
No.
Okay.
No.
That's where I was confused because it really didn't say that in your application. Thank you.
Actually, if you could go to the document labeled P2 for the rest of my discussion, that might be helpful, a helpful visual. So couple of things I'd like you to consider.
We don't have them, I don't have them labeled in here. They're just a part of your package. So you'll have to tell me which one.
I will.
is
Go ahead.
P2. The end of them. That's up here.
So while she's looking, can I ask, did you label certain exhibits as part of the application packet or?
Sent them over today and I just added them into the packets.
Okay, I just didn't see any like exhibit numbers on them or anything.
Yeah, I don't think they're labeled on, they were labeled just as separate files and they sent them to me, but not on the actual document. So here, this one says P2 way up in the corner.
This one has labeled P2 on it. So this is a plot of part of Gloucester Street. So off to your right here would be Centerville Road, and this is Gloucester. And my property is this piece right here. And I know it looks ginormous on this piece of paper, but I want to explain to you why it's a different piece of property than all the other pieces in the community. The lot is odd shaped, and it's constructed differently than the others on the same block on Gloucester Street, and in fact, others within the neighborhood. Unlike most of the other lots, it doesn't meet that traditional rectangular shape, lot, rectangular house put on it, and it's nice and even. The house is very deeply set back from the street. It has a very narrow backyard. The backyard is somewhat triangular shaped, and it's very narrow on, when you're looking at from the street, it's very narrow on the left-hand side, and then it kind of opens up a bit as it goes down. So where we want to put this screened-in porch is the widest part of the backyard, and even that doesn't meet the setback requirement. We believe the lot is shaped the way it is and differently than all of the others because the developer was trying to be very efficient in trying to use as many pieces of ground to build this development. So my house at the street has a shared driveway with two other houses that are up and behind me. And in order to fit those two houses in, they created the shared driveway, and it's hard to see up here, but the driveway, probably about 15 feet in, forks, and one driveway goes up to the other two houses, and the other snakes around and comes to my house. And the ground in between those two driveways continues to elevate so that its highest point, it's probably 15 feet or more high. So it's not usable space, but my driveway embeds rocks in there because it holds up that upper driveway. So while all of that is my property, it's the driveway up to the other two houses. There's a piece of grass, a large piece of grass on the other side of the driveway that most people think belongs to my next door neighbor, but that I have the privilege of mowing that grass, but other than that, it's not terribly usable. So again, it looks really large, but if you take a look from here to here, that's really the usable portion other than the driveways and so forth. So again, I think that they were pushing my house way back in the lot in order to make sure there was plenty of room for the two houses up and above. It's also the place, as you can see, where Gloucester Street, curves and goes down, and it goes down. Gloucester Street is a steep hill. So they were trying to fit everything in here. The house, the setup places my lot far back on the lot. So if you take a look at this, you can see how far back my house is set compared to everybody else. In some places, almost twice as far set back than the other houses on Gloucester Street. And then it leaves me with very little backyard. As marked on that chart, many of these houses have 40 plus up to 60 feet of setback space, and mine has much less than that. So I don't have much room to do anything back there. Looking at that document P2, you can see that our backyard is the smallest of any house on this street. So the house behind me, which is the setback that would be encroached, it is not only behind me, it's behind me and down. So what I mean by that is if you're coming down Gloucester Street and you pass my house and you make the first left onto Aylesbury slopes down. So it's actually a neighborhood that is down below us. So the house below is not only behind, it's behind and below. And that's important for a couple of reasons. When you were standing on my deck, you're level with the roof line of that house. When you're standing on the ground, you're level with their second floor. And the space behind me is all wooded area. And in very rough numbers, about a third of that is my yard, and the rest all belongs to the house that's down and below. For about, well, the spring, summer, and fall, we can't even see each other because of the foliage. And the fact that they're sitting down below, they probably can't see us very much anyway. I can't see a good part of their yard because of the way they're set down below. So when I realized we weren't going to be able to meet the setback provision, I went and I knocked on the door of my neighbors down at Islesbury, 805 Islesbury, the Bouchers, and I told them what was going on in this project. And I said, you know, you own that wooded area. Do you know you own that wooded area up above? And they started to laugh. And they were laughing because they knew they owned it, but it's totally inaccessible to them because it sits about 10 feet above their driveway. And they have a rock wall that supports all of that land that keeps us all from falling down. And they have no stairway or other access to this piece of property. So while they own it, they don't access it, and that's what they're dealing with. So if you grant a variance, it is not going to do anything that would hurt their use or enjoyment of the property because they don't use that piece of the property, and from down below, they don't see the property. So we're the second owners of this house. We didn't deal with the developers originally, so we didn't make any of this happen. We didn't have any say in how our house is situated there. But it's sitting back. It's not facing directly the street. It's sitting at a bit of an angle. And the fact that it's sitting back and is angled gives us no room in the backyard to do this project. So what we're trying to do is not unique in the neighborhood. As you look at the other houses on the block, there are any number of houses that have either 4-season rooms, 3-season rooms, screened-in decks that they've built out into the back. Of course, they're all compliant with the setback provisions, but mine is not. So we're asking your consideration today to grant a variance so that we can put the roof on this deck. Again, brings us, roughly 1.5 feet closer to our neighbors, which they don't object to. They've given us a letter, and it's in your packet, but it does not meet the setback requirement.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want a question for the other one? Okay, Mr. Hanson.
So you have no plans to make this a 3-season typical. It's just going to be a typical screened-in porch on a deck, correct?
Exactly. It will be the deck with a screened-in piece on about half of it.
So if my math is correct, make sure I'm looking here correctly. You're looking for a 3-foot encroachment. I'm sorry. A 8-foot encroachment into the backyard setback, correct?
Right.
Which would leave you a 27-foot or setback, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Beth?
No.
Jason?
I don't have any.
Anyone in the audience have any questions for the applicant? Or on Zoom? Seeing none? Okay. Do you have anything to say, sir? Again, state your name, please, for the report.
Sure. My name's Charles Castleaire, and I work for Stumps Decks and Porches, the contractor who is proposing to build this new deck and roof project. And Mr. Messina pretty much summed it up well. I'll just say that the two of the reasons here that I want to point out for this application for a variance is that the properties adjacent to Queen Anne's Way appear to have needed more driveway space at the front of their property instead of using, they have a lot of space on the other side of their property adjacent to Queen Anne's Way, but it's very sloped. And we believe that that's the reason that the developer needed to have the driveway that goes through the Messina's property, helping them as well. And then on top of that, the changes in elevation between the part of the driveway that serves the Messina's property and the other two properties makes it more difficult to build a driveway that would not push the Messina's house closer to the boundary line, which it does. And then just as Mr. Messina iterated, the other houses on the street have plenty of room for roofed additions on the back of their house, and many of them do. We have pictures here for that, but we don't necessarily need to go through those. But if you would want to scroll down just a little bit, we can see a few options. Now that one right there, P3, that's a good picture of the driveway.
One?
No, I'm sorry, it's not a site picture, it's an aerial view. There it is.
This?
That's a good picture, yeah, of the driveway. On the other view, it didn't quite show it that well. That just shows it better. And then as you can see, the other two houses have plenty of area on the other side for a driveway. It's just it's sloped, so that's probably why it wouldn't have room for a driveway there. And then if you would want to scroll down some of the documents that I sent to Beth today with the G label, G1 through 7. These side pictures here show the slopes on those properties. Those smaller pages there, that's G1 through 7. And those just show some of the examples of, one more there. Some of the examples of roofed additions that are capable of being on the street because they are able to meet the setback due to the proper positioning of the house. That's all for me.
Any questions for the witness? Gentlemen?
Just to reiterate, the one document right there, that's not what's proposed.
No.
Gotcha. Just see the picture, I was like, uh-oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Any other questions, gentlemen? Beth? Jason? No. Anyone in the audience or on Zoom, questions for the witness? Seeing none, thank you. Okay, is there anyone in the audience that has any comments to make, either pro or con to this application? Seeing none? Okay. Gentlemen, is there anything else you need this time? If not, we will conclude testimony in case number 2487. And I will listen to a motion if there is one at this time.
Mr. Chairman, case number 2487, the request of Robert and Linda Messina for property located at 3038 Gloucester Street in Lancaster, PA 17601. Make a motion to grant their variance to section 270-3.5E2 to allow an 8-foot encroachment into the rear yard setback, leaving a 27-foot setback on the rear yard. Oh, I'm sorry. With two conditions. One, our standard conditions, and two, the new deck and screened-in deck, patio, whatever you want to call it, cannot be turned into a three seasons room.
Okay. Okay, motion by, excuse me, Mr. Hanson. In case number 2487, property at 3038 Worcester Street. Granting a variance to section 270. What was that, 270?
Dash 3.5.
Okay, 273.5.E2 to grant a 8-foot variance from the rear yard setback, resulting in a setback of 27 feet with the following conditions. One, the standard conditions board places in all applications. And two, that the screened-in porch shall not be turned into a three seasons porch or structure. Was that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I have a second, gentlemen? Second. Second by Mr. Bingham. Discussion, gentlemen. Seeing none. Mr. Hanson, how do you vote?
In favor.
Mr. Luce?
In favor?
Mr. Kyle? In favor. Mr. Bingham?
In favor.
I'll also vote in favor. Your request, I lost you again. Yeah. Your request for a variance of 8 feet has been granted with the conditions so applied. Thank you.
All right, you got 10 minutes.
Mhm. No, well, hold on one second. We gotta call the case up. Okay.
Tell you which one we got.
Okay. Beth, would you call the next case, please?
Case number 2488, Landisville Lofts LLC, 335 East Main Street, Landisville, seeking a variance to the minimum lot area.
Okay. Is someone here from Landisville Loft LLC?
We have two members here from Landisville Lofts, and then we are representing the ones.
Okay, we'll start with you, young lady. Your name, address, please, and
Elizabeth Vanasse.
last name?
Vanasse, it's Vanasse. I'm with Barley Snyder, and I'm here with my colleague Derek Diffinger. We're here representing the applicant Landisville Lofts LLC. We have two members of the applicant LLC here with us this evening. We have Kevin Boland and Zane Dawood, and you'll be hearing from Mr. Boland this evening. So just for some background of the property, we're here about 3:35.
Before you go on, is there anyone in the audience or on Zoom that wants to be a party to this case? Seeing none?
Man, what was the name of the second owner or second member of the
Zane Dawood,
Zain? How do you,
Zain.
okay. Zain, and how's his last name spelled?
Awood. His full name is spelled Zainul.
Dawood. And the first member was Kevin Boland.
Yes, Boland.
Thank you.
Ma'am, could you either get closer to the microphone or hold it?
Is this better?
That's better.
All right.
Okay. Proceed, please.
All right, thank you. So as I mentioned, we're here for the property located at 335 East Main Street in Landisville. Zip is 17538. This was previously operated as the Black Knights Tavern and Grill. It's the large red brick building on Main Street. The legal owner is Glenn G. Eshelman. And as I mentioned, our client, the applicant, is Landisville Lofts LLC. And Landisville Lofts is the equitable owner. It's currently under contract for this property following a successful bid at auction back in November. The size of this lot is a little under 1 acre. It's 0.93 acres, and it's zoned village center. There's a fairly large building on the property that was previously a restaurant. It's about 7,300 square feet, and it has 3 different stories. The first story was prior known as the Black Knights Tavern and Grill. It was operated as a restaurant and bar. The second floor had a banquet hall and 1 apartment unit. And then the third floor had 3 unfinished apartment units. Currently, the property is vacant, and the property did sustain some damage after a fire that broke out before the applicant purchased it at auction in November. So you'll hear from Mr. Boland later, but just for a brief synopsis of what he's proposing, he's looking to renovate the building and expand the current number of apartment units that are in it. This would be considered a multifamily dwelling under the zoning ordinance, which is a use that's permitted by right in the Village Center District. So he's looking to turn the building into an apartment unit or apartment building with 8 units in total. So there will be a mixture of 1 and 2 bedroom units. And because the building is already partially outfitted with a couple of units, just for clarity, there will be 2 units on the first floor, which used to be the Black Knights Tavern and Grill. And then the second floor, which used to be the banquet hall and had 1 apartment unit, the applicant is proposing to add 2 units. There will be 3 units on the second floor, and then the applicant would finish out those 3 units that are on the third floor. And we do have some floor plans to show you all that Mr. Boland will go over with you when I call my colleague up. So this is a less dense use than the restaurant and bar. But as Mr. Boland will testify, it wouldn't be feasible for him based on the current state and conditions of the property to keep the restaurant use going or continue the restaurant use. That would require him to outfit an entirely new restaurant with all new equipment and to buy a liquor license for the property. And as you know, in the Village Center District, there are some relaxed parking requirements, but this property does have a fairly large adjacent parking lot with 36 spaces, as you can see on the screenshot from the GIS. So since this use is permitted by right, we're here this evening for a very limited dimensional variance related to lot area of the property, and that's under section 270-3.8 E1A. The applicant is proposing 8 apartment units, and for residential units, the ordinance requires 8,700 square feet of lot area per unit. We go over the math in the narrative to the application, so I won't bore you with it, but just for clarity, the ordinance permits a minimum of 8,700 per unit square feet. The proposed use has 5,064 square feet per unit, so we are asking for a dimensional variance of 3,636 square feet per dwelling unit. So at this point, I'm going to pass things over to my colleague, Derek Dissinger, who will ask Mr. Boland some questions.
Okay, thank you. Derek Dissinger, Barley Snyder. I just have a handful of questions for Mr. Boland, and then we'll open it up for the board's questions and anyone else's questions who are here, obviously. Mr. Boland, why don't...
Excuse me, before you do that.
Yeah.
Mr. Boland, would you state your name and address for the court reporter, please?
Absolutely. Kevin Boland, 783 Church Street in Landisville, Pennsylvania, 17538.
Thank you. Please continue.
Okay, Mr. Boland, can you tell us about your experience in owning and managing real estate?
I've owned several pieces of property, one in Landisville, my own personal, but we own several units as well in Liddittsboro. One that we're currently under construction and working with the zoning board and code administrators with in Landisville, or sorry, in Liddittsboro as well, outfitting an additional unit into a 2,000 square foot garage.
Mr. Boland, what's your involvement with Landisville Lofts LLC?
I'm a 50% member.
And were you the winning bidder at an auction to purchase this property?
Yes.
And applicants Exhibit 1 are conditions of sale, which I handed out to the board members. Are these the conditions of sale that you signed?
Yes.
And just to establish your equitable ownership, applicants Exhibit 2 is a document titled assignment. Did you and your partner, who is also here, assign those conditions of sale to Landisville Lofts?
Yes.
Okay. Could you please describe for the board, what is the current condition of this property?
It's vacant, framed out, roughed in, plumbing, roughed in electric, studs. That's about it. Other than that, it's vacant, no electricity, temporary electricity to the property.
If, is it your understanding there was a fire at this property?
Yes.
Okay, and the restaurant area on the first floor, was all the equipment, the restaurant equipment, damaged and removed?
It was removed. I'm not sure if it was damaged at the time.
But there is not currently restaurant equipment inside that area, to your understanding?
No, none.
Okay, and are you also purchasing the restaurant liquor license that was associated with this property?
No, we are not.
Okay, so is it fair to say for you to continue the previous use of a restaurant that would be at considerable expense?
Yes.
And just for the record, what is your understanding the asking price was of that restaurant liquor license?
$375,000.
Okay, thank you. Are you, in light of the prior fire, if the board tonight grants your variance request and you build these apartment units, will you be putting in a sprinkler system?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Can you please look at what would be applicants Exhibit 3, which are floor plans? Would you mind just very briefly going over these 3 pages and explaining what we're looking at? The first page of applicants Exhibit 3 is labeled first floor. Can you just describe how many units are here and what those bedrooms are?
Yep. So we were just on the first floor looking to again, go with the 2-bedroom, 2-bath on the first floor with their own entrances off the front porch.
And is this area what used to be the restaurant?
Yes.
Okay. If you turn the page to the second page of applicants, Exhibit 3, labeled second floor.
Before you go to the second
Yeah.
page, on the first page, you have on the right side, it says, the kitchen, living room. On the left side, same thing, kitchen, living room. And then in between is, I presume, the stairwell up to the next floor
Yes.
or whatever. Okay. Now, when you said this was was this the entire restaurant and bar area?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Please continue.
And again, just describe what's on the second floor in terms of how many units they are and what's the makeup of those in terms of bedrooms.
So we were looking at 3 units on the second floor, made up of 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and 1-bedroom, 1-bath.
Okay, and what was previously on this floor?
A banquet hall, office, restaurant, bathrooms, and then 1 efficiency was also included on the second floor.
Okay, and finally, the third floor, can you explain what's there now, framed out, and what we're looking at on your plan?
Yeah, so it is framed out to fit this exact plan right now, but it was used, I guess, as 3 residential units for employees of the Black Knight Tavern.
So just to summarize, the floor plans and what what the building is currently structured as. The third floor is essentially the status quo. This is what's there now. On the second floor, there was one unit, and now the second floor will have two additional units. And the first floor, as the restaurant, will be replaced, if your plans are approved, with two units.
Yes, correct.
And for the board's benefit, I'm asking this question to streamline this and not do a big conclusion at the end here. One of the variance standards is that you're asking for the minimum relief requested. Did you consider a plan for this building that would have maximized the number of units?
Yes, we did. It was upwards of, again, somewhere between 12 and 15 units if we were looking at one bedrooms and inefficiencies only.
So the plan that you've presented here to the township, is it fair to say that you are asking for far fewer units and therefore a smaller variance by having a fewer number of larger units?
Yes, that is correct.
And do you think that that would better serve the community with the types of units that you are presenting?
Yes, from the knowledge that we've garnered so far, it would.
Okay. How many parking spaces are currently on this property?
36.
Okay. And so if you have 36 parking spaces and you have 8 units here, we are looking.
Over 4 per unit.
And do you believe that is sufficient parking for a use like this in your experience?
Yes.
Okay. Are you proposing anything that would expand the footprint of the building?
No.
Okay, one other thing that I just want to mention to wrap up these questions, and again, for the board's benefit, the reason I'm asking this is one of the variance standards is that you have a hardship, which I'll just tell you we're presenting is the fire that damaged this building and makes it economically infeasible, we'll say, to put a restaurant back in here. That you, because of that hardship, you cannot use the property in accordance with the zoning ordinance. So very briefly, and these are my last questions for Mr. Boland, I'm just going to quickly go over what those current permitted uses are and why that would be a little bit of a challenge. Some of these are obvious and borderline rhetorical. Mr. Boland, you're in the village center zone. I'm just going to briefly walk you through the permitted uses. Would it be, and with every one of these, my question is, would it be possible without incurring tremendous expense for you to implement these uses? So these will all be yes or no, okay? Number 1, agricultural uses.
Yes, it would be infeasible.
Okay. Residential uses, which is what we are here for, which includes multifamily. The business uses are amusement, fitness, entertainment, bed and breakfast. I'm sorry, stenographer. Convenience stores, daycare, finance and insurance, funeral home, grocery store, light industrial, lodging, overnight accommodations, mixed-use building, bars, tavern, which we've gone over, was there, and you do not have a liquor license or a kitchen left. I'm just going to summarize the rest of these, which are predominantly retail uses. Would it be economically extremely difficult for you to convert this building to these uses under the circumstances?
Currently, yes.
The final category I'll just lump together are civic social uses, which include schools and community buildings and municipal buildings. Would that be a hardship for you to try to use this building under the circumstances for those uses?
Yes.
Those are all the questions I have for Mr. Boland. Again, just to summarize this, the request here is to replace what used to be the Black Knight's Tavern with 2 large apartment units. The floor above that, which was a banquet hall and 1 unit, would then become 3 units. And the third floor would be what is currently there, which are 3 apartment units. We're happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions, gentlemen?
Sure.
Mr. Hanson.
So out of curiosity, and this has nothing to do with us, but I'll ask this question anyway. I lived here in 1990 when it was first converted apartments. Being the past fire chief, where's your second egress off the second and third floor? The interior stairs that were there, are you taking them out? That exit to the outside?
Yeah, we looked at working with co-administrators and working with the fire department and everything. We were looking at taking those out with the addition of the sprinkler system. They both felt that was feasible to do that. And I think there was a big issue with the fire and communication. It was to where they were located inside the building during the fire.
You read the original decision, 7, whatever it was.
Yes,
You don't have any issue with the conditions that were still left on that?
we do not, no. We read, I believe there were 2 prior decisions we were sent. We read those and no, we do not have any issue with any conditions on those decisions.
And there's no plans to do anything with this except for apartments, correct?
Correct, there are no current plans other than what we're here for this evening.
Thank you.
Well, one of those conditions was that there's an egress to the neighboring property for parking, for overflow parking. I don't see why that condition would still be viable.
That was our take as well. Those prior decisions seemed largely related to the bar.
Right.
And because the bar is no longer there, the conditions that we read do not seem to be applicable anymore with this current use.
So you have no problem with any of those prior conditions that relate to the tavern/restaurant for overflow parking and such. We could, change those and just use the parking that is presently on the property.
That's correct. And because this is in the village zone, I'm going a little bit more than what you might want to hear, but the zoning ordinance, which is similar to the other Hempfield Township, bases parking on the ITE. But then you're in a village zone and it's reduced. So the amount of parking that we have at over 4 spaces per unit is so vastly far above what would likely be required. I did not even bother checking the manual because it's a lot less than what we have here on the property.
Correct. But so you'd have no problem with those conditions being modified?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the way I read the second decision, that which would be number 802, was that the board modified the conditions from the first one and said that all off-street parking could be accommodated using the 36 spaces that were on this property. So I think that condition may have gone away anyway.
Yeah, it went away, but that board back then was too lenient.
Yeah, I just want to
Yeah.
make sure that since it's not a restaurant anymore, we don't need that. Second question I have, right now, the outside there is a dining seating area and that. What do you propose to do with that? 'Cause
Unclear.
that's related to the restaurant
Correct.
bar and not to the living quarters that are there.
Correct. So right now, the plans for that are, we have no idea yet. The first goal would just be to get the 8 units, stabilize the property, have the property again be brought back to life to, restore the historic nature of the property and make sure the property is being utilized.
Yep, but realistically, would you need that outside? I don't know what I want to call it. Patio. Yeah, it's more than just a patio. It was an extension of the restaurant.
Yeah, and I
No need, I don't see any need for that to stay there and that little bit of a structure that is there. If this is going to be truly just a residential property anymore.
Yeah, and as the applicant's counsel, what I've advised them on this topic is the village zoning ordinance has various, permitted uses. And the current plan and what's before the zoning hearing board, because it really only is the current plan or these apartment units. In full disclosure, the applicant has, mentioned things that they might be able to do with that. If any of those plans move forward and, we need to come back before the board, we would obviously come back before the board for anything. And, if anything we're done with that, it'll obviously be done in accordance with all building codes. But, right now, anything that we've talked about would be purely hypothetical. There's really no current plan. It would probably have to involve a tenant. And then we would really need to, like I said, I did not look at the ITE manual because I knew the parking was so far beyond that. But obviously, any use that would have to happen there we would then really need to look at parking, not just from a zoning perspective, but like I always tell boards, no property owner wants a parking problem. No one wants it. The community doesn't want it. The property owner doesn't want it. So even above and beyond just what the zoning ordinance might say, we'd really need to look at realistically parking and see if what they may want to do with that in the future if the current parking situation accommodates it, both again, from zoning and from a practical perspective, because you don't want to have tenants living here and have a parking problem. No one wants that.
Can I follow up that question?
Yeah.
So, Mr. Dissinger, that outdoor area that was kind of used as an outdoor bar, basically,
Yeah.
is kind of like a lean-to.
Yeah, it is.
It's pretty much an eyesore because nothing's been done with it for 4 years.
Yep.
The patio, the brick patio area, that doesn't concern me, but to kind of clean that up, would you have any objection to us making that a condition that has to be removed, the lean-to structure? Bar area?
No, I do not have any objection to that. And I don't want to put words in Mr. Bowen's mouth, although I wanted to chime in. If anything were done to that area, I think that would be removed anyway. So no, that's not a problem.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's sort of what I was getting at. It would be a common area for those people who live in the structure, but as it is now, it's a bar area. That's the best way to.
Yeah, to address that concern, and I'm really not trying to be cute, we haven't discussed any real plan for that area that's beyond hypothetical. A condition along the lines of, removing that lean-to structure and stabilizing that area so it's, in an appropriate condition for its current use is completely reasonable and perfectly acceptable.
Any other questions? Anything from township?
I do have one.
Oh, sorry, John.
That's okay. To kind of follow through on the question about fire egress. You have 3 floors and 8 units. And I wasn't sure whether you were talking about some kind of external, maybe metal structure that would be the fire escape, or it's all wood and internal.
It was all designed as internal, but again, we would work with code administrators if whatever needed to be done. If we need to keep a staircase, we were just trying to get rid of the one staircase that split the windows. Again, just from like I said, the look of the lean-to structure and the look of the building being historical, the cut of the staircase going into the window, and then the rise run of the other one being too steep, being grandfathered, we were looking to get rid of.
My concern was one internal wooden staircase for 8 units might not be sufficient.
Well, again, the first 2 units would have their own exits. So
The first floor?
the first floor would have their
Right.
own exits, so it would be the 6 units above. And then we had to beat the 125 feet from the back corner, which is what we're working on with code administrators to make sure we meet the 125 feet.
I just would like to be sure that people could get out if it were
Absolutely.
an emergency.
And I'm sure one of your standard conditions is that all improvements are made in accordance with all ordinances.
So, I'm gonna just touch on that. Had a little bit of input that in 89 when they built this. That's why that interior stairwell that exited to the outside was put there for that reason. As a past fire chief and owning a consulting business for fire departments, I would recommend, and I would hope the township's going to require some type of second egress off of each floor. But again, that has nothing to do here with zoning.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, anyone in the audience? Hmm? Jason, oh, sorry, Jason.
I have nothing further.
Oh, okay. Okay, is there anyone in the audience that has any questions of the applicant? Seeing nothing on Zoom either?
We did have, I got a comment from Dan on Zoom. He said he would like to speak.
Do we get sound from them or do they type it?
You can get sound.
Can you hear me? I'm speaking now.
Thank you. Dan, please state your name and address for the record.
Sure. My name is Dan Fisher. The address is 22 Station Stone Lane in Lidditz, Pennsylvania, 17543.
Trying to figure out your standing.
I was a bidder at the auction, and I was an interested party, I guess, in the building, and I just wanted to. I wasn't zooming in today to comment, but I just wanted to clarify that the fire happened several years ago, long before the auction occurred, and there were other bidders, myself included, who were wanting to keep the property as a restaurant. And we wouldn't need this exception to change it to apartments. But because I had done my due diligence and seen the level of renovations that were due, I didn't bid as high as this person did. So I guess the exception to the zoning is only necessary because he's not able to turn it into a restaurant, is what I'm hearing. So I just wanted to make that comment that they made it sound like the fire happened since the auction or recently before the auction, and that wasn't the case. So I just wanted to make that point, and I think other bidders, including myself, would have gladly renovated it as a restaurant.
Dan, that has nothing to do with our hearing this evening. The bit about the auction, you and everybody else as the applicant had the ability to participate in that. What he is proposing may not be a restaurant, whether we would like that or not, but it meets with the zoning in that area. He just needs literally some variances to meet what his plan does, but the plan does meet that zone in the township. So appreciate your comments, but actually I feel, and if the board has any objections to my statement here, I feel it's really irrelevant for the case that's in front of us.
Okay, I must have misunderstood what his attorney had said about the restaurant being unfeasible, and that's why they were asking to do this. So my apologies. Thanks for allowing me to speak.
Anyone else? Seeing none. Anyone in the audience or Zoom that has, comments to make, either pro or con, to the actual application in front of us? Oh, anyway, I'll get you in a second. Okay. Seeing and Cindy.
So on behalf of the township is very concerned about the village zone and the aesthetics and the look of Main Street. Preserving this building is very important to the township. whatever is contained inside. If there's a path forward with zoning, so be it. But the township itself is very concerned with the aesthetics and that the outside looks like it does now. So,
Yeah, appreciate that.
I can just speak for the applicant. There are no plans at all to change the outside of the building. We also think it looks great.
Except do away with the lean-to.
Correct. Correct. Except for the part we talked about does not look great. Correct.
Okay. Anything else?
I would just add that having eaten there several times in the past and appreciating the architecture of the building, I share the township's concern to maintain the appearance of the block. The town keep its character. So
Absolutely.
thank you for that.
Okay. I saw no one who had any comments pro or con, so with that, anything else, gentlemen? Seeing none. Anything, Jason? You looked at me, I thought maybe you had something to say.
No, I didn't really have anything to say.
Okay.
If you want me to say something.
No.
And
Mr.
Mr.
Hanson will
Hess,
shoot me for that.
and we had the calculation in the narrative. I don't know if you still have it in front of you, what the actual variance calculation would be per unit.
What is it,
Yeah,
5,000?
Yeah, I noticed the numbers were in the narrative.
Correct.
So the requirement would be 8,700 square feet per dwelling, and you're proposing 5,064 square feet per dwelling. So I guess the difference would be 3,636?
Yeah.
Okay, with that, I'll listen to a motion if there is one. Gentlemen, in case number
You
24.
want to take administrative notice of the applicants, A1, 2, and 3?
Yeah, whatever, great. Yeah, before we do that, new year, I'm running a little slow. We will take administrative notice. There really isn't, and we will admit into evidence applicants exhibits 1, 2, and 3 as submitted.
And the case, the old case.
Yeah, but I don't have those right here.
What were the old, 7?
783 and 802 are the two cases.
Case under administrative notice, what'd you say, 783?
783 and 802.
And 802 will be admitted to the record. So now I'll listen to a motion if there is one.
Mr. Chairman, in case number 2488, request of Landisville Loft LLC for property located at 335 East Main Street, Landisville, PA 17538. Make a motion to grant the request to a variance to section 270-3.8E 1A. To grant them a variance of 3,636 square feet per dwelling from 8,000, or leaving a total of 5,064 square feet per dwelling with the following conditions. Number one, the old bar / lean-to has to be removed. 2 are standard conditions. And actually, I'll add a third one. No exterior changes can be made to the front of the building.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Hanson in case number 2488 for the property at 335 East Main Street, Landisville, for variance to section 273 270-3.8E1A. To allow for a variance for each dwelling unit to be a variance of 3,636 square feet. That each dwelling would then have 5,064 square feet per unit. With the following conditions: that the bar lean-to be removed, that our standard conditions, and 3, no exterior changes to the front of the building.
Yes, that's my
Is
motion.
that it? Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Luce. Discussion, gentlemen. Mr. Hanson, your one condition about the changes to the front of the building, I presume you're talking about the aesthetic.
The aesthetic that the township's concerned about.
Yes. That, that
I do have a
there'd be
comment
no
to that.
changes to the historical aspects of the building. And can I also suggest that the sides be included on that?
Well,
Because
I
I'm
didn't
not
want to
sure
say
that-
anything on the side because, I don't know, maybe the fire official, code official may require a fire escape or something.
Well,
I don't want
and
to
I
put
put
that
an
in there.
exception there except for safety reasons,
Then
but
we can go with that too.
I just wouldn't want to see, and I'm not saying that the applicant would do it, but again, he may sell it sometime, that they put in a 2025 looking addition to that building on the sides.
And I'm fine.
Sort of like this lean-to.
I'm fine as long as there's, safety.
Yeah. With
Takes
that.
precedence.
Hmm?
Safety takes precedence.
Yes, granted. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, you?
Yep.
Okay. So we have a motion in front of us, gentlemen, to grant the variance to section 270.3 or dash 3.18.1A to allow for the variances for lesser square footage per unit in this historical structure.
I have a comment to make before we vote.
Okay, and now comment.
So, looking at this property and having lived on this property, I think this is the best adapted reuse of this facility. Because I can tell you, when I lived there and it first opened up as the Black Knight, there wasn't enough parking, even with the lease spaces. And anybody would try and put a restaurant in here, there wouldn't be enough parking. And I understand with the village center, you have reduced. And I could tell you that some members of this board, myself included, think the ITE is a joke for parking requirements. So I think to maintain this, the front of the building and the sides looking historical as it has, that this is probably the best adapted reuse of this building.
Anything else, gentlemen?
I would add to that it's a kind of housing that the township needs and doesn't have enough good places to put it. I'm talking about affordable housing. We have a lot of new industrial use around the township and hospital and other things that have a large number of employees. This helps with that problem. So thank you for that.
Anything else? Seeing none? Excuse me. Mr. Hanson,
In favor.
Mr. Deleuze,
In favor?
Mr. Kyle. In favor. Mr. Bingham.
In favor.
And I'll also vote in favor. Your request has been granted with the condition so stated. Thank you. Anything else, Beth?
No,
Next month?
so far, nothing.
Okay, keep us informed. Okay, Cheryl. Okay, with that being said,
Stay warm.
before everybody leaves, drive carefully. The crews were out last night and today, but the weather is also not totally cooperating, so please drive carefully.
And if anybody is interested, I just looked, it's 7-7.
Hey Cheryl, I gotta show you a picture then.